is the time for our keynote speaker and the session. Now, about this, our keynote speaker, who is Aniket Amdekar, he is also a distinguished Toastmaster. So, distinguished Toastmaster is like usually old folk, or experienced Toastmaster, but there are several experience they add in their, you can say, in their profile, and they became a distinguished Toastmaster. Now, about him. So since 2007, he has been protecting the websites and networks of many MNCs and currently working as a general manager, cyber defense education and great learning. He's also mentoring Stanford cybersecurity program where he teaches advanced cybersecurity to cohorts from 10 plus countries online. Now that's his professional career in terms of this technical aspects. Now, he's also a professional storyteller. He narrates stories from Ramayana every Saturday and Sunday to kids. And the initiative is called Vanasena. So he's a motivational speaker also who loves to spread positivity through his stories. So please, let's welcome our distinguished Toastmaster, Aniket.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Vivek. Good evening, everyone. And hope you had a great meeting so far. Now, further, what we are going to look at is some tips that I have brought so that our virtual presentations can be better. Now, I know that we are trying to move away from the virtual and we are trying to go to the office. How many of you are going to the office? Okay, I can see a few hands going up. Okay, hands are coming up now. Videos are starting up. So, okay, definitely. Cool. Thank you. Thank you. So although we are going to the offices and now a new hybrid mode of working is taking shape, but the way we have been presenting in a meeting, because our clients cannot be right in front of us many a times, it has to be a virtual presentation, and it need not be in Toastmasters, because we are in Toastmasters to be great outside of Toastmasters. So these tips and tricks you can use in any presentation, be it in here, be it in the client meeting, be it if you have your own venture in the future and you are presenting your business and trying to get some funding. It could be about if somebody is in sales, you're presenting your own product. It could be if you are in technical support, you're presenting your root cause analysis of why this thing failed, and now you are the one who holds the key. In that case, we have a lot of information that we want to share in a virtual presentation. So what are the ways in which we can really make it work so that the people remember us? One way to do it, there are a lot of elements that I have brought for you. One of the elements is stories. Stories that people will remember. And these stories need not be always about you. It could be a story about someone else. It could be a story about your client. It could be the story of a testimonial which you received, or maybe you received some appreciation email. Maybe a week ago, you received an appreciation email for the great work which you did, where you went beyond the lines in the weekend and you helped somebody. So this, if you mention that at the right moment, can actually bring your presentation to another level. That reminds me of a story. Would you like to hear a story? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, cool. I'm getting one yes online, and then a few. Somebody sent me one as well.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So once upon a time, there was a merchant, a super successful, ultra rich merchant who was always thinking about money 24/7. And then one fine day, suddenly there was a knock on the door, knock, knock. And he opens the door only to find a huge buffalo. And sitting on that huge black buffalo was an even bigger man, the Yamaraj himself, and said, "Brother, I have come here to pick you up. Time to go." He says, "Oh man, my time is up. I wanted to meet my son. I wanted to do so many things. I wanted to start a new factory. I don't get to do any of that now." "Okay, but you have come here. I would like you to at least give me the honor of hospitality. So come in, have a meal with us." Yamraj says, "That's a first. Nobody offers me a meal. Okay, I will have a meal with you. So Yamraj goes in, and while Yamraj was having his food, the man had seen the diary that Yamraj was carrying. And as expected, while Yamraj went away to wash his hands, this man ran to his diary and wiped off his name and put it into the last page. So he will get a few more 100 years to live. Now Yamraj came back and he said, son, I am really pleased with your hospitality. Vineet knows the ending. Thank you for not spoiling it. So he said, I'm really happy with your hospitality. And for you, I'm going to make an exception. Today, I'm going to start my day with the end of the diary. Yes, I know too. Thank you, Jitendra. So he wanted to start his day from the end of the diary. So sometimes, no matter how many times we try to evade some troubles seem to follow us. Now, any story with a message that you deliver at the right time resonates with the audience. If anything, it will put them at ease. In my previous job as an InfoSec manager, I used to present our monthly activities summary in 5 slides to the CIO, the CEO, and a few more leaders. At that time, I knew that the leaders have received deck after deck in the past 2 hours from every department. They have seen too many numbers and they have seen too many well-crafted slides, but they had not heard any stories. And hence, whenever I started my presentation, I had an opening story crafted for only 30 seconds that I used to practice with my team because I had only 3 minutes to talk. So within 3 minutes, I had given 30 seconds to that opening story, and that was crucial. After a few days, that became a signature of opening any kind of monthly business review, to start with a story. So stories are one way in which we can be truly unforgettable. There are a few more ways in which we can achieve this. Now, the other one is called asking a question. Now, you may not ask a question every time, but in some situation, you do want to ask a question. You know why? Because in virtual, you don't know what people are doing. We are always competing against this guy here. The moment I go boring, turn off the cameras and you go back to your mobile phones. But when I ask a question, is there anyone from the support team? And suddenly they're like, yeah, I'm there from the support team. So it's like a jolt among the audience when you ask them a pointed question. There are open-ended questions and there are closed-ended questions. There are some questions which are rhetorical, but even that makes people to chuckle. There are some questions which are truly that you use to gather information. One of my favorite questions, it is, where are you joining me today from? Where some people will say Hyderabad, somebody will be coming from Chennai, some people come from. Among all these people, now I know the pattern where the audience is coming from. Then I use another pace element, which is the survey, which helps me understand what kind of experience level are they coming from. Because in my introduction, it was mentioned that I teach people from 10 plus countries in the cohorts, years of education and experience. And they are here mainly for like validation. Oh yeah, what is this guy going to teach me? I know everything. So use very different kinds of examples, and that's why knowing the audience becomes crucial for all of us. Is everyone with me today? So far, we have looked at 2 elements. We looked at the story and we looked at a question that is connected to the audience so that you know the people behind that camera. Now, if it's your own team, you meet them every week and you know them very well. But what if you are facing a completely unknown audience and you know nothing about them? Then how do you know the audience? You need some data points. Next, we go on to the talking head. That is me. That is the speaker. But sometimes what I have seen, people don't look to you. people are looking down here, and over here they're talking to here, I'm talking to someone else here, and you keep thinking, why is that person looking down? Because on their screen they see the photos everywhere here. In fact, I have seen some unwantingly weird presentation as well, where they had their screen on this side, so everyone is looking at them from this, the person is looking here and talking to me, and I have no idea whom he's talking to. So very simple trick I want to share with you. This is the camera, right? And we want to remind ourselves that we want to talk to the friend behind the lens. So you take a sticky note and you put it beside the lens, and you draw a very nice smiley on that sticky note. And that is your friend behind the lens. That way, the sticky note will always remind you that, hey, you need to look here. And I'm sure that experienced presenters and Toastmasters like you will no longer need that smiley, because that smiley will be on your face. And just like Vivek is smiling right now, you would be confidently smiling, not needing that sticky note. But it's needed for you to know that. Another one, you tell me, is this a good view where you're looking up at me like a huge statue? No, right? Which is why another thing that we need to take care of is the eye level. At a laptop is designed, the way the laptops are designed is that the camera is in line with our eyes on an average. But if you are using a phone cannot do that. The phone goes literally down, which means you need to bring it up to your eyesight and then you speak. And that brings me to the fourth element that I wanted to share with all of you. How many of you have heard that feedback in an evaluation? Toastmaster Aswini, you could have stood up and delivered your speech today. Have you heard this feedback? At least you have seen someone else receiving this feedback, if not you. Cool. Okay, I request the Zoom moderators to spotlight my video because I'm not sure if it is spotlight. Okay, the reason I mentioned that is you don't need to stand and speak every time. I repeat, you don't need to stand and speak every time, because imagine if you are delivering the most important presentation of your career and all the crux is in the slides. You don't need to stand and speak. What matters is the clarity of your voice, your network connection, your eye contact. That is what matters, your time management skills. Stand and speak is required when the hero of the speech is not a concept, but motion. Where I'm telling you that Rama was standing here, and here we had Duryodhan, and both of them were saying, hey, you are from Ramayana. And Rama said, hey, you are from Mahabharata. How are we meeting each other? So that is an element which needs movement. Then you can stand and speak. But if you're talking about a concept, you're delivering a training, in that case, it's all right if you sit and speak. You can manage your energy that way. The next crucial element is lighting. Now, many of us have already figured it out, but I wanted to share this with everyone. Which looks better, this or this? Now I have light coming in from the top, and that is done with the help of a ring light, something like this, which you can order from Amazon, which is available everywhere these days. So these ring lights can be extremely useful, especially when you are recording something, especially when you know that the light is lower. If I start speaking with this window behind me, all you will see is a shadow speaking with you, and you would remind yourself of that age-old Mahabharata, Main Samay Hu. You remember that guy? Yes. So I would look something like that, with no wheel behind me, of course. But definitely, we don't want that to happen in our virtual presentations. Now, the next pace element, which I want to share with all of you, is the B button. Okay. When you are presenting a slide deck, what happens is the slide comes on the stage and then Shilpi goes on in the back end. Only the voice of Shilpi is there with us. But then Shilpi has already spoken about the points on the slide, but the slide is still up and I'm only listening to her voice. So the expressions that she has, that non-verbal communication skills, which she has mastered in Toastmasters, I am not able to see that because all I see is the slide, which is why don't share your screen unless it is absolutely necessary. And it is okay to stop sharing, speak to the audience with you in the center. When you have the next slide, then you start sharing again, you go to the next slide. Is everyone okay with me so far? Any questions?
Hi, Toastmaster Aniket. I have one question.
Sure.
It's regarding the time management. Yes, we prepared a script, we prepared our slides.
Yes.
But when we elaborate those things and we see the audience and there's something that came to our mind that we think that that they are not getting ourselves. So at that time we make extended our session. So how to overcome that part?
A few ways to tackle this. Number one, we are in Toastmasters and this is the only place where we can practice timing our speeches, right? Because we have the red flag. But what happens in the meetings is that the timer is showing the red card. We keep speaking. The timer knows that we get disqualified, but we get disqualified within that meeting. The impact is too small. If you really want to take it to the next level, you tell the timer and the admin to conspire and say, the moment I cross my time, you mute me wherever I am, right? So you make it hard for yourself because you need to set higher standards for yourself. And that happens if you have seen a pattern that you were given 3 minutes to present your slides, you took 5, and whoever is listening knows that you have overshot your time. So if you, and again, so I'm a part of the VR Advanced Toastmasters Club as well. And recently I proposed a very dangerous proposition in my club. And the proposition was that we are stopping the timer cards. Every speaker will time themselves. If you are a DTM, if you really are an advanced speaker, you don't need a timer. You should know when your 7 minutes are up because your content is perfectly designed for those 7 minutes only. And especially when you start speaking professionally, they will pay you for 1 hour. If you speak for 1.5 hours, that is your loss of 90 minutes of speaking time. So if you look at it from that perspective. So I would say practice it. Try to track your own time. For example, in the last 5 speeches that you have given, what was the time that you took? Was it 7:29? Was it 8:35 or was it 10:55? So if you can find a pattern that consistently you are losing the track of time, then you conspire with the admins and they make you mute. So you learn the hard way. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Aniket. I will definitely try this one.
Sure. Thank you. Timer, how much time do I have? Talking of time.
Aniket, 15 minutes over.
15 minutes over. Cool. Thank you. We have 5 more minutes and I have 3 more techniques. Between that, we still have 2 more questions. So you keep the questions with you. Let me share 2 more techniques and then we will stop. Now, the next tool that I want to share with you is the tool itself. That is, how are you going to present? Is it a Google Meet? Is it Microsoft Teams? Is it Zoom? Or is it something else altogether? Because I may have prepared some beautiful background videos and I spent a lot of time, finding a war video where I can see a lot of army behind me and there are people with swords in their hand. And I know that my kids in Vanarsena are going to love this entire pacing element. But then last minute, I get told that I'm going to speak using Teams and all my preparation is in Zoom. So now all of that prep, I need to migrate to Teams last minute. And if I cannot do that, in that case, as a speaker, you need to learn more. So before you all get engrossed in the movie behind me, I'll bring it back. So as I was saying, the tools matter. especially if you are going to a different club, if you are being invited as a guest speaker, what is the medium of their meetings? And that matters a lot. It has happened to me a couple of times where I had the slide deck with me, and I know that in Zoom meetings, most of the times sharing access is there, but it was a Teams meeting and it was a company policy because of which even if the admins wanted, they could not give me the sharing access. So I had to then email my presentation immediately and then get that going. So have a plan B always ready. And that brings me to the last of the points, which is meaningful videos. If you have a long presentation, you need to have intentional variations in your presentation. For example, if I'm a storyteller and I keep telling you after story, until 5-10 minutes, audience will be with me. Then they will go, okay, my family WhatsApp group, somebody sent a GIF just now. Oh, that's so funny. Oh, Virat Kohli hit another century. Let me just post that with my friends. Yeah, Aniket was speaking something. Oh, I missed that. It's okay. That's what happens. And that is why what we need to do is we need to bring in variations. The moment you have told your first story, you ask an open-ended question, you get the data, you present that data, and now you ask a closed-ended question, and that brings you to one of the background videos that takes you to a slide, which takes you to another activity where activities matter a lot. Okay. There are some people who will make notes while you're speaking, and that's good. But there are some people who will try to remember it all in their head. And sometimes this method will not be sufficient because we may not be able to recall all the pace elements that I have told so far. And I'm going to ask you that just now. So sometimes you need to make the audience to do something. Whenever I teach speech writing workshop, at that time, I have the audience write a script on the spot. I give them a topic, and now they need to come up with a general purpose, a specific purpose, a title, and a message. All of that in the next 5 minutes. And then as you actually start doing something tangible, that's a much more lasting memory than only sitting and listening. So your audience need not only be listeners, they need to be active participants. They need to be your partners. And now we can open the stage for the last couple of questions. Okay, any questions? Going once, going twice, and sold. Let me ask you a question then. How many pace elements can you remember? Give me any two. Toastmaster Mamta.
Hi, Aniket. Thank you so much for the insights. It is indeed very helpful for me, and of course for the rest of them as well. The 2 points that I can tell is start with the story and probe for the questions.
Probe for the questions. Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mamta. And can we have Vineet to share if you have any pace elements that you picked up from this? Thank you, Vineet. Any pace elements that you would like to share? Yes.
Actually, I was about to drop the call, Aniket, and I was typing the message in the chat.
I sensed that. Yes.
Okay, pace elements. You meant pace elements, right? PAC.
The elements which I shared, like we just heard from Mamta, that it was story, and I also spoke about questions.
Yeah, at the start of the meeting, you mean to say we should be starting with a story, and we should be involving the audience, and we can make it interactive, right?
Yes.
And I guess you said that the initial 3 minutes you dedicate to starting with a story.
Correct.
And that sets the pace, right? So that is what I recollect. And yes, obviously, later on, I'll be having a look at the video, and really nice session. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you. All right. And anyone else who would like to share any other PACE elements that we discussed today?
I remember one which I used to keep on make myself to be sure with that. That's the one is the camera.
Yes.
I have always dual monitor because I used to support for the customers and the direct calls, or I used to work with them most probably for the sometimes I may need a big session for me to connect the server and get it to be what is it action item needs to be performed in the other monitor, because if the small monitor which I have in my laptop wouldn't be sufficient for me to complete that one. So when I talked to the in the call, I could not open my the video session, because that is the one reason that I could not make my camera to be on. If I make an on and for unfortunately I may change my face to that other monitor, a lot of people used to think that why this guy is looking in a different way. So instead of monitor, because my part is completely different for me, how the office we used to sit in the two dual monitor and make the thing to be proper for us. So that's the one scenario has always happened for me. So that element I do remember that every day. But today I get that point is it's good, very good for me that people are thinking that part as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
thanks for
Thank
it. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So I guess that's my time for today. And thank you so much. I think you have been a wonderful audience, listening in so intently and sharing so many responses afterwards. It was a pleasure speaking with all of you. And thank you so much for inviting me in your club. Thank you so much. And back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.